Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I thought, it's the start of summer and things are opening up, and it'd be great to check in with some friends of mine from around the world, and I'm going to do that all week, to see what's going on around the world. And so one of my friends, Anna Cyzon, has been in Spain and Greece recently, and, sounds like a good place to be caught during COVID-19. So, Anna, welcome to the show, and tell me, how are things in the south of Spain? Where are you? What's going on? Has the world opened up? How are you doing?
I'm good. Hello, Brian. Thank you for having me back. Always a pleasure. I am currently in the south of Spain. Yes, Malaga, to be exact. And it's absolutely gorgeous here. The masks, which were mandatory when I got here, end of May, mandatory outside, that is, which was very bizarre to me in such a hot place also to have to wear masks outside. This has been lifted last Saturday, so the world is free down here. Restaurants have been open, obviously, for a while, both inside and outside. There was a curfew when I got here at, I believe, midnight, 11 or midnight. Now the hours have been extended since to I think 2 o'clock. So it seems like things are back to normal. Yes, I've been doing some traveling, which has changed a lot, to say the least. You have to provide all sorts of, from negative COVID tests if you're not vaccinated to QR codes. Things are definitely not the way they used to be. But, I'm still very grateful that I am even here, for starters.
So tell us about, so you're in the south of Spain. How far south? Like right at the bottom?
Right at the bottom in Malaga.
And you're on the ocean?
I am, yes, 5-minute walk from the ocean. So,
and I've been noticing some of your shots on social media. Narrow streets, lots of restaurants. Are things open?
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, everything is sort of back to normal. Oh, look at you. You're good. Since I got here, as I mentioned, things had a curfew and masks were mandatory outside. That since last Saturday has been lifted. So it feels free, with the exception of obviously going inside to restaurants. You still have to wear the mask upon entry, and then you can take it off. So it feels like COVID sometimes, but when you're in a bar having a sangria, and watching the Euro Cup, you forget, and especially seeing a stadium full of people shouting and screaming, you have moments where it doesn't feel like COVID. And then we're quickly reminded, for instance, for myself, when I got to the airport, traveling, last week to Greece, not being able to board my connecting flight from Naples to Athens because I had punched in the date wrong on my entry to Spain on some government document. And, the agent, unfortunately, was like, I can't let you in. So the south
of Spain wasn't good enough for you. You had to go to Greece?
No, well, I have a friend who's a captain, and they were chartering a boat, a bunch of his friends in Warsaw, and I couldn't pass the opportunity, obviously, to visit Greece in such a way, because anyone can fly into Athens or take a ferry to any of the islands. But when you have, a chartered yacht and a bunch of cool people, well, how can you resist, right? So I thought it would be a good break from Spain. For my partner to have some time to study, and for himself, and for me to explore something different, to experience something new. And I'm very happy I did it, and very grateful I had the chance to. Even though travel, as I mentioned, has changed, things are not the way that we're used to them being. The world is not as open and free, but I'm still very fortunate that I had the chance to get away. And I'm very happy to be back in Malaga, as it is beautiful. And I'm very happy to even die here. Don't need anything else but the beach and some sunshine.
Some beach and some sunshine. Sounds fantastic. Let me take a break for some messages and come back.
Sure.
More with Anna Cyzon in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're doing sort of a travel log right now. We're chatting with Anna Cyzon, who has been spending time in the south of south of Spain, but that wasn't good enough for you. You had to go to Greece. So tell me, what was Greece like right now? Are people, out and going crazy, or has Greece closed down?
So Greece has opened, surprisingly, to Americans. So there was a lot of Americans, Californians actually, in Athens, island hopping. Athens was pretty bumping, I have to say. The clubs on the beach, they're an open concept. So basically, you go in. There's a DJ, technically indoors, but because it's open right onto the beach, you had about, I don't know, I would say at least 1,000 people dancing on the beach, and, pyro and really loud music, people dancing on tables. So it did feel like Vegas on a beach. And it definitely did not feel like COVID. No one was wearing a mask inside. That was Athens. Spetsis and Poros, Hydra, I believe, or Hydra, however that is pronounced. They were a little bit more calmer. Masks were not mandatory outside, I believe, like they were in Spain prior to me leaving to Greece. But indoors, restaurants were closed. So I found that weird when I needed to sit down, with my laptop in a coffee shop to do some work. It was prohibited and I was not allowed. So, the rules are so inconsequential, Brian, across the board. It's really bizarre. Just, how different things are. Is that my Facebook, or I don't think those are my photos that you're showing. Are you showing pictures?
You went to Naples, Italy as well?
I did. I went to, Naples was a surprise stopover because I had a connection through Italy to Greece. I booked a cheap flight through Ryanair, and the Ryanair to Naples, and then EasyJet to Athens. And the agent, because I had to recheck in again, weird, don't book through Kiwi because weird things like that happen. And so I went to the counter, and the EasyJet agent was like, I cannot let you into Greece because you filled out this government form wrong. And basically my return date was stated as my entry date into Greece. So I pleaded with her. I said, this is an honest mistake. People misspell their last name on their boarding cards all the time. This obviously happens to me a lot with my legal last name being 1,000 letters long. But there was no mercy. It was just like, no, sorry, you can't go in. So I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? I'll fill out another form. And she's like, yeah, but you have to wait 24 hours. So I made the most of it. I bought myself, I got myself a room on Airbnb or booking.com somewhere in Naples. And I went right into the historic center and had some gelato, watched Poland get their ass kicked by, I forget who it was in the Euro, and got to actually see Naples, because I think I only experienced Naples airport. So this time, and actually 3 years ago also missed a flight. So Naples for me the airport is cursed, but like I said, I made the most of it. I said, I'm already here, screw it, I'm going out. And again, going back to these COVID rules. Oh, those are my photos from Greece. Those are the girlfriends that I met there on the boat.
Sounds like things were completely open and you were partying into the night.
Well, we were definitely sitting down for dinners and, having lovely meals and drinks, and things outside were very free. I think things indoors, as I mentioned, were closed. And again, it's just so bizarre because every country has different rules. Things in Spain, everything is open, both inside and outside. But up until I left, masks were mandatory to be worn outside. Whereas in Greece, you had, masks hanging off of people's ears. And to the end, I didn't really know whether masks were mandatory outside or not. It's just kind of like some people were wearing them, some people weren't. I think the rules just weren't enforced. Inside, however, because businesses risked being shut down, if you stepped into a store, if you didn't have a mask, they would ask you to put one on. So,
and what about tourists? Like, were there a lot of tourists around or not?
In Athens, yes. As I mentioned, there was a lot of Americans because Greece has recently opened its borders to Americans, I think only. So that's why we had met a few Californians, a couple from, I think it was Michigan. And I heard a lot of English speaking people in Greece, some Polish speaking people too. But I think, within the EU, it's much different. People are traveling. They're taking vacations. It's for us Canadians, me being lucky, of course, having a Polish passport, and being able to exit Canada without really any reason as to why I was coming into Europe. Nobody asked me when I landed in Spain what the purpose of my travel was, but that's because I have a European passport. I think if I came in on a Canadian passport, I wouldn't be able to. I'm not sure if the rules have changed for that now.
What about retail stores? Lots of outdoor shopping streets and things like that I've seen you walking up and down. Were the retail stores open?
Yeah, in Malaga, absolutely. All the Zaras, your Mangoes, everything is fully open and was open when I got here. So I was, reluctant end of May 19th or 20th when I got here to post anything really to my social media or too much, sitting out in patios, enjoying my life, having sangria and eating those amazing green Spanish peppers. What do they call those? Perdones. No, I'll get back to you on that one. Because I knew what the situation was like in Toronto and the rest of pretty much all of Canada, maybe with the exception of Vancouver, that we had been locked down for so long and in such desperate need of, that taste of freedom that, I didn't want to piss certainly any people off being here and enjoying my freedom.
Right.
But you guys are open now. So
and so everything seems to be open. What's been happening? Has the virus infections been going up, or does it seem to be completely under control, or what's your sense of Ontario has just reopened up yesterday, and not even completely. So what have they done right that we've done wrong?
Interesting question. I'm completely, to be honest, disconnected from both the news and even in social media, what is going on in terms of cases. I'm not one to look for information, online, have cases gone up or not. My partner did mention to me that once the masks were removed here in Malaga, so they were not mandatory, that there was a spike in cases. That was information that I got through him because he watches the news or reads about these things. But as I mentioned, I'm kind of living in La La Land in my own bubble of music, yoga, sunshine, beach, and whatever work I need to get done here. Teaching, that is, also English, as I do online. So I'm pretty disconnected, and I choose not to be ignorant. I think I'm so exasperated by hearing about COVID for as long as everyone has heard about COVID for the last 2 years now. And, or at least it seems 2 years. And I think I'm happier not knowing whether there's a spike in cases or where cases have gone down. I mean, anywhere you go, you will know, the news kind of travels to you and you know what it is. And learning by just traveling here and traveling to Greece, I know that if I'm not vaccinated, they're asking me for a negative COVID test. If I don't have a negative COVID test, I have to quarantine. Do I think a lot of it is I don't want to say, because I don't want to form any negative opinion or have any negative comments here under this post, but I think a lot of it is BS, and just by virtue of knowing, a lot of people who are, and they shall remain unnamed, but for instance, who are forging, these negative COVID tests, who are not vaccinated, and there's not even a centralized system yet. I think some countries have it. Spain might have it, but I know for a fact, Poland, I know some people who have entered the country on fake, PCR negative COVID tests, and there's no way to check that. So some people like me are spending €100 to have a cotton swab of the inside of my nose, and then €100 to get back because I don't have the vaccine yet. While, other people are switching dates and numbers on a PDF file and also getting through airports. So if you ask me about COVID, I don't have an opinion about it, and I just
sounds like you actually have some very strong opinions, but we won't go there.
Maybe we won't go there. Yeah.
And we're going to take a break for some messages, and when I come back, I'm going to ask you what you think is going to happen in live music, because as people may know, and you're a performer and a very successful live performer, singer, etc. And I'd love to know what you think is going to happen with live music. Port Credit, just south of me here in Mississauga, has opened up live music on some of the patios. And I guess a week ago, Bruce Springsteen and the Foo Fighters or something like that started playing in New York. So what's going to happen there? We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with Anna Cyzon from, where are you from?
Malaga, Spain.
Malaga, Spain, the south of Spain. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Second and 60. We're chatting with Anna Cyzon from, where is it again? Malaga, Spain?
Malaga,
Spain.
Malaga, yes.
And how long have you been there now? A month and a half?
I came here on the 20th of May.
Yeah, so a month and a bit. Fantastic. And you left us all behind in in Canada to escape to Europe and the sun and the beach, and you've been having a good time. But you're a performer, and you've been performing for since you were a teenager, I guess, but professionally for quite a while. What do you think is going to happen with live music?
It's a very interesting question because, I mean, since COVID, I've been pretty much doing everything online, doing live stream shows, which for the most part, I think I've been successful. I have a lot of super fans that always support, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's been, there's really, I don't really know how to make a business of it. I just kind of do it, and I put my email there, and if people want to donate, they donate. If they don't, they want to watch a free show, then that's their prerogative also. That's been sort of my model for the last since COVID, and it's worked. I think I've gotten a little bit maybe not discouraged, but certainly maybe a little bit lazy, especially here in Malaga, that I have Steve here, who's my guitar player for many years, and we've yet to do a live show, and we've been talking about it, but I think there's some kind of block for me where I don't want to do it because I'm missing, the live audience. I'm missing the big stage, and it's fun to sit down just with an acoustic guitar or piano, like I've been doing in Toronto with Bartosz, and bring that to people's homes. And I will continue to do it. I just think, like I said, I've gotten a little lazy here because of the sun and the beach and et cetera. And also because of this, some internal block of it not being the same, even though it has proved to be successful for me in the past. But like I mentioned, my super uber fans, supporting and donating.
Let's play a little bit of you, just so that people
sure.
Get a sample. Tell us where's this performance from? This is a music video?
So yes, that was shot in Toronto. The song is called Young Boy, and yes, this was 2010. So wow, 11 years ago. Hard to believe how time flies. Directed by Davin Black, really awesome director, Canadian. He's shot for Drake and amongst P. Rain, I think, and amongst other slew of great artists. So I had the privilege of working with him back in the day. I watched this. It's a different world, right? We're on a rooftop. There's a band, even though we're fake playing for the video. It's, there's a house party. We're running through the streets of Toronto. This isn't the world anymore. And for artists, I think, to answer your question, I don't know what's going to happen to live music. I think slowly things are going to come back, as you mentioned, Bruce Springsteen and whatnot, artists coming back to play concerts. But for myself, I don't know what that means moving forward. Are we watching this, or am I talking? Because I'm not sure what's going on. Show her that you love her so and tell her. Over and over.
Surrender your touch, gives her life. When she's with you, she takes flight. Feel her on your fingertips. to go. What you waiting for? Tell her that you love it so. Now go. She needs to feel love. She needs to feel love. She needs to feel love.
Fantastic. That's really quite something. So what do you think's
Thank
going to
you.
happen to live music? Like that's high production quality. That's lots of different people, a street party, a house party. What's happening?
Well, as I mentioned, that's not the same world, right?
What?
I got a notification here. Sorry, ignore. Can you hear me, Brian? Sorry,
I can hear you
something's
fine.
coming up. Something's coming up on my phone. Okay, yeah. So as I mentioned, it's not the same world, right? We can't have a rock band on a rooftop with a live audience. We can't be running around through the streets without our masks. For me, it's changed in that it's gone online. Slowly, that's coming back. In August, I'm going to my hometown, Krakow, just south, to a city called Rzeszów, where I have a duet that I recorded with a friend in Poland by the name of Pierwszy raz, which translates to first time, like falling in love for the first time. We wrote this song together last year. I think the last interview I did with you from Krakow, he played guitar. We sang a Christmas carol or something like that. Yeah, I think it was Last Christmas I gave you my heart just for you, Brian. And anyhow, so we have an original song together that is in this festival now. August 20th to the 23rd, I'll be in Rzeszów, which is the city south of Poland, and we'll be performing. Hopefully the song, wins the Grand Prix award or whatever they have this year. I've won the festival before in 2016 with my song Into the Sun, but I was able to come back as a duet this time with Paul. So fingers crossed that people like the song, and we are performing on a real stage in front of a real audience. So I think it'll be really nice to come back to that for myself, almost it feels like eons, but since COVID, since the first lockdown, having an actual real audience, which is so important to I think every musician, feeding off of that energy. It's not the same to do. I mean, you can do live streams all you want, but you are singing into a laptop or a phone screen, and it's not the same. It's like having a relationship long distance with someone. You can have contact with them every day, but it isn't until you actually meet and show up for each other in physical form that relationship takes on life, for lack of a better word. So I think that's very important. It's essential for not just musicians, but I think anyone, whether it's theater or even DJs or whatever your field is. We need humans. We are social creatures, right? We need humans
You did a bunch of these online shows. I'm going to play a little bit of one.
Sure.
Tell me what that was like.
Do you want me to talk over as the music plays, or no? Okay.
Load up on guns, bring your friends. It's fun to lose, to pretend she's overboard and selfish. Oh no, dirty word.
Hello, hello.
With
So what was it like playing on all these live Instagram shows that you did without an audience?
So yeah, as I mentioned, it's a different game. I think for me, definitely the energy that people bring to a live venue, be it that a club that holds 30, 40 people to some festival ground where you're playing for thousands of people. I think it's just the intimacy, the singing to somebody, whether it's one person in the audience or, like I said, thousands. Like, there is a connection there that is lacking for sure when you're singing to a digital screen. I think it's a matter of adaptability and getting used to, which we have, the way that we have done these shows with Bartosz, and that's Liz there on cello. But it's not the same. It's not the same. For me, it's definitely lacking the people, the energy, the connection. Even being able to engage the crowds in a way that's like, how are you guys doing? And, you get some claps, you get some noise, and that's what it's about, right? We're social creatures. And I think we need that social interaction, whether it's a stage and an audience, or whether it's meeting up with friends and exchanging in dialogue. You can't live in isolation, and I feel like COVID has isolated us in a way. It's connected us through digital means, which is great, because you can reach wider audiences. I can play to someone in Poland simultaneously to having an audience in Toronto, but I think the advantages don't outweigh that of the live show, which is showing up, which is being present, and that's what makes things real in life. And it's the same for personal relationships. Right. As I mentioned, you can have a relationship long distance via screen for 6 months to a year, but it really isn't until you meet in person that I think your relationship becomes real, because that's what real life is. It's showing up for another person, showing up for people, in flesh when you can. And I think that has been greatly restricted for a lot of people. And sadly, a lot of families haven't seen each other over the course of the last little bit since COVID. And I think, on the contrary, a lot of people have been stuck under one roof for too long, and can't stand each other. So it's worked both ways. I think it's hurt a lot of people who unfortunately can't see each other otherwise, who would want to, and vice versa. Affected people who probably need to breathe from one another.
Do you think that people are going to come back out to go to restaurants and bars and live entertainment concerts?
Well, it's already happened. I think I've witnessed it so far. It's been the most prevalent, that comeback in Athens, when we went to these beach bars. I forget the names, but I was like, oh my God, COVID what? Like, girls dancing on tables, DJs playing loud music inside, but really it's an open concept. So the music's blaring onto the beach, and there's thousands of people on the beach. Everybody's drinking, having a great time, dancing. So it didn't feel like COVID, and it did feel like a comeback. I think people have been severely restricted and debilitated, for lack of a better word, for too long now. So when things do start to open, as they have, that desperation in all human beings to go out, to sit down in a patio, to dance, to listen to live music, is, I hope it spikes. And and we have a huge boom in the economy, because how else are we going to come back from this crisis?
There's some need that we have to get together and to sing together and to
absolutely
together and to dance together, isn't there?
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, I don't know if we recorded or not, but I will repeat myself for the purposes of this interview. We are social creatures, and it's very important that we relate to one another. As you know, relationships are mirrors, and I think the more people that we can connect with, have engaged in conversation with, and that energy is so much more amplified in person. You can have that conversation through FaceTime, but it's not akin to having the person sit next to you, or dancing with someone, or even, I don't know, just being in the presence of someone is different than communicating through a screen. And you need that relationship, one-on-one in a social setting, to learn about yourself. that relationship will mirror things to you. The more people you connect with, come in contact with, and the more exposed you are to the world, the more you can travel, the more people you will connect with and meet and connect with. And those people will show you things about yourself that you like and that you don't like. And I think that is the purpose of, any relationship in your life, both personal and professional. It's to mirror things, and it's to grow. And if we don't have that element, then, I don't think as much growth can happen in isolation. Isolation is very important, or maybe not isolation, solitude, right? Going inward, having time for yourself, disconnecting from social media, disconnecting from people is also equally as important. But so long as it's not, I think, imposed on you that you have to stay home, that you have to, you cannot go out, you cannot, at least that it has been a problem.
Let me show you something about you doing live music.
Mm-hmm. Aww, playback. No, this love is only gonna break your heart.
Tell me about what it's like performing in a restaurant where people are talking and having a good time and watching you and getting up to dance. And what's it like?
It's a vibe. It's an energy. I think that, it's always a pleasant surprise when people come to do something else, like to dine or to have a drink, and they tune into you and they listen, and you have the ability to captivate them and then to keep their attention. I think that's the most challenging part for me, being in situations like Sophia in Yorkville and Toronto, where yes, people are eating, they are drinking, they're there to have a good time. I'm kind of, the thing that they also get. But most people aren't coming there like you, Brian, to see me or my, parents or closest friends or super fans. The majority of people are there to have dinner and to have a good time. So it's always, I think for me, I feel like I've served my purpose as an artist, if I can captivate people and if I can hold their attention. And then if someone comes up to me, like, let's say after and says, wow, that's amazing. Can I follow you on social media, or where can I find your music? Or what was that song that you sang? Right. And then it happens to be an original song that makes me feel like I'm doing my job, or I've done my job as an artist. What else can you do but, make people feel something, inspire them, hook them with a melody or a lyric, or, sing some high note that they feel like, wow, they've never heard that before, or they wish they could do that. And, if it's inspiring to them, if it's motivating, if it makes them feel a certain way that is good, that is positive, that is makes them feel uplifted, then again, my job is done as an artist. And and sometimes it's not about joy and dancing and having a good time. Sometimes it's like just relating to something. Sometimes girls will come up to me and say like, oh, that lyric in that song. And then I'm like, oh yes, someone else went through that, especially if it was a painful experience. And it's this element of relatability that also, I guess, in a way satisfies the ego, because someone is actually listening to your songs.
You've got such an incredible presence on stage. Where does that come from?
My parents.
Your parents?
They made me. No, I think it is my Polish blood. I think it's on my dad's side, the Highlander, blood, that traditional folklore singing and dancing that I grew up in since I can remember, since diapers. I was going to these rehearsals. My dad was part of this folklore group, and he dragged my mom into it. And I think those 4-part, 5-part harmonies, those violins, the dancing, all of that was something that I picked up. Children's brains are like sponges, so I absorbed that very quickly as a little kid. I think some of it I was just born with and into, and then the rest was just my love for music, my immigration to Canada, my discovery of pop music, like expanding, the horizons of what music was, and digging up things from alternative rock to jazz to, there's even country songs that I like, and that love for music in and of itself. I think that passion, that fire that is in me for art, for song, for stage, that translates, that just oozes out when you give me a spotlight and a microphone, and I become music, I think, or at least I hope to embody that.
What about on a big stage?
Yeah. Yes, this was my album release. Very fun. And I felt this way. You love this song.
Okay, I'll play another one. But tell me, what is it like playing on a big stage in front of, we talked about on the internet, we talked about on just a guitar, we talked about in a restaurant. What's it like when you're on a big stage in front of lots of people? Let me show you another one.
Sure. Ooh, you're just pulling out all the my voice was never heard. My love goes. My love.
So what's it like? Tell me, in front of thousands of, or hundreds of, or thousands of people, hundreds in a bar, hundreds in a concert like this, and probably thousands in your big festivals.
Well, it's, as I mentioned, completely different game. It's a different world. It's a different energy. You feed off of the audience. You you know, just by virtue of being on a stage and it being elevated, you feel like you're commanding people's attention and their yeah, attention, for lack of a better word. So I think there's more maybe at stake. You want to give more of yourself because you have a bigger platform, because people are there to see you, to listen to you. And they give you energy, right? They clap at the end of a song, so you want to give them more, and it's a beautiful exchange that happens between musicians and the audience, that that makes that live concert experience, both for the audience and both for the artist.
Now, you said that you were you needed to be motivated, that I don't know, the way you described it is that it was hard for you to get back into getting out and doing live music, but people are desperate for that and for that connection. Do you think other artists like you are going to be hesitant to getting out and performing again, or no, or is everything just going to open up and we're all going to go nuts?
I hope everything opens up and everybody goes nuts. And I definitely, I hope that artists, like myself, whether they're independent or they have a label behind them, the bigger name, no matter what kind of field you're in, if you're creating something, whether it's music or visual art, that you do get back out there when you have an opportunity, the first opportunity that you get. That's why I'm going to my native Poland and I'm getting on this stage, because I don't have that opportunity yet in Toronto. Things may change and may be back on a plane hopefully shortly, whether it's performing back at Roncesvalles Street Festival or a bunch of other things that that I did yearly. I hope that happens soon, and I hope I'm not the only one that's first in line to hop back on big stages. In the meantime, I will do what I can here in Europe, in my native Poland, and I think I should continue with the live streams, because, as you mentioned, they're not getting that dose of, live music that you would normally hear if you were having dinner, or if you were going out on a Friday night. There'd be some restaurant, some venue, some bar that had a duo or a trio acoustic and someone, up front stage singing and performing. And that, in this case, would be me. So I think the opportunities that when they present themselves, I'm going to grab a lot of them, if not all of them, because I do want to go back to the stage. It is such a huge part of who I am. It's like a limb, without performing, I feel like my arms or my legs are cut off, and that's not a good feeling.
Well, good luck in Poland with your big festival. And I hope that you send me a video of you performing in some bar or restaurant in Spain.
Well, I hope that being fully vaccinated or whatever the situation, the world opens up again and we're free to travel and hop on planes, that you come down to Krakow and you see me while I have, some concerts, some shows in progress. I think that's a good incentive for you, Brian.
Sounds good. We're going to leave you. Hopefully this is a different song, but we're going to leave you with another song and another concert by Cyzon.
Oh, thank you very much. No, there it is. Same one. Your favorite.
I never dreamed that I'd love somebody like you. Don't wanna fall in love. Don't wanna fall in love with you. is only gonna break your heart.
Anna Cyzon, thank you so much for joining us. If you've got a message to everyone about getting out back into the world, going to Spain, going to Greece, getting up on stage, what would it be?
Well, I hope that this interview, my travels, and my journey inspires you to step out of fear, which I think the world has been in for quite some time now. Step out of that low frequency energy of fear, of negativity, of control, of all these bottom, triangle frequencies, energies, and rise above everything that is coming at you, everything that we're eating up as I don't know, whatever it is. Keep doing you. Get on a plane if you desire it. Get on a stage if you desire it. Go and get your dreams. Go and get yours, whatever that is, and don't be afraid. Get vaccinated, get your COVID tests, do what you need to do to jump through the hoops to get to where you need to go. And I think everybody deep down inside knows what that is. So follow your dreams and your heart. Don't give up. And don't let the world make you hard. Oh, you never shed a tear. I remember all that you said. Told me love was too gloomy, and told me you were through with me. And how you say you love me. Great song. Just to prove you do. Go on and ride me a river. Ride me a river. I cried a river over you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. A real pleasure. And good luck getting back up on stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you for rooting for me. And yes, and everybody who needs to get back on stages across the world, everywhere, do it, jump on it, live your life loud and unapologetic, because it's short and it goes by very, very quick.
If people want to check out your music, what's the easiest and best way to do that?
You can find me on Spotify under Anna Cyzon. There's a bunch of music videos on YouTube under, I believe, Anna Cyzon TV. And for the latest, you can log on to www.cyzonmusic.com. And I think my latest single and video is up there on the front page, on the homepage.
Thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody. Good night, Anna.
Good night.